Welcome to another session of 5-Pillar Mobility. Thanks for joining us here today. We will assume the position for some breath work to start out. So lying flat on your back, finding a nice comfy spot. Preparing yourself for some me time. Focusing on that breath. Finding a nice relaxed headspace. Noticing the pace of your breath and helping yourself find a pace that helps you find calm. And if you find counting your breath is helpful, feel free to count your breath. And if you find counting the breath adds any kind of anxiety or stress, then don't worry about it. Focus on finding that pace that just allows you to relax. We're focusing this routine on the ankles, trunk, and neck. So we'll take a quick body scan through those feet. On your next exhale, just imagine those toes going nice and limp, those ankles feeling heavy. And we'll take a couple targeted breaths around the trunk, letting that midsection get heavy as you exhale, relaxing through the abs, through that mid-back. And we'll finish with a few breaths up around the neck. On the next exhale, relax all those muscles in your face. Feel that head get heavy and sink into your mat. And we'll shift our attention into the feet. So we'll do a little left toe work. So this is best performed barefoot. So if you've got socks, shoes, you can pause the video, take them off. And we'll just do a little freestyling with your toes. So each toe should move at every joint. So think about getting a nice passive stretch, starting with the pinky toe, moving it through full flexion, extension, a little bit of twisting and extending. And you can give it a gentle tug along its axis to give it some space through those joints. If you notice the pads of the toes are a little extra tense, you can give a quick massage through those toes to relieve any tension there. And keep working your way through the foot, one toe at a time. Taking some extra time into any segment that looks like it needs or feels like it needs extra attention. Staying nice and calm and relaxed mentally. Give a little extra love for that big toe. Taking it through its full range, giving it a little stretch back and forth. Let's take a breath out, relax, and we'll get into a left foot release. So you can keep using the fingertips here. You can move to a golf ball or lacrosse ball, whatever you have handy. And that left foot, you can work your way through the balls of the feet into the arch. But start by panning and look for what needs attention. We spend a lot of time on our feet, obviously, so the feet can take a beating. So we'll just take some time and give them some love. Look for where they need attention. And the arch does tend to be a hot spot, so spending some time through there, adding just the amount of pressure that we need to help that foot to relax. Doing our best to stay passive on other tissues. Relaxing through that head and neck. Anything we don't need, just turning it off. Focusing all your attention on softening through that foot. Take one more breath here. And as you sigh out that breath, we'll move into some extension work. let's get those left foot toes into a passive extension stretch. There's a few ways to do this. Find one of the simplest ways is just to come up off your heel, angle that heel up to stretch out those toes in extension. And just find whatever amount of stretch feels right. As long as you're feeling that lengthening sensation, we're good. And once we're there, taking that attention back to your breath, focusing on finding calm, and letting those toes lengthen at their own pace. If you're a breath counter, feel free to count your breaths here. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active by pressing into the pads of the toes to slightly resist the stretch. Let's go ahead, starting with a light pressure, slowly ramping up that tension to resist the stretch. And big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1, and let's gently reverse that. Keeping the stretch, and imagine using your toe muscles to pull deeper into that extension, slowly ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here for the end. 3, 2, 1. Let's let go of that breath. Finding that passive position again. You may find you're deeper into the stretch. And if we're not, that's okay. Just be patient. Those toes will come. Nice relaxed headspace. Focusing on finding calm. One more breath here. And as you let go of that breath, we'll shift our attention to the opposite foot. So starting on those right toes, panning through all of the toes and just pausing at anything that feels stiffer than the rest. And the toes are meant to move in multiple directions. Flexion, extension, twisting, abduction, adduction. So do a bit of free for all. Anything that feels particularly stiff, take some extra time there. And again, if there's tightness in the pads of the toes, feel free to give a light massage to help free some of that tissue. This is a free for all, and it's going to look a little different for everyone depending on what needs attention. Doing your best to stay nice and calm mentally. Calming that body always starts with the mind. And calming the mind starts with the breath. So focus on the pacing of that breath, finding the right pace, the right depth that helps you find calm. And generally a slower breath will help you get there. And we'll take one more breath here. And as you let go of that breath, we'll shift into the right foot. So panning through the balls of the foot, the arch, the heel, look for what needs attention. If you have a lacrosse ball handy, that is a good option here. Golf ball is also a nice option, but the fingers will do just as good as anything. Just panning through the foot, looking for what needs attention. Mentally staying in your happy place. And just giving just enough tension to help that tissue to settle down and allow us for better movement. Generally, more pressure will give a deeper release and ultimately stronger results. But be patient and pay attention to how that body's responding as you're working through it. If it's feeling good, feel free to add pressure to it. Just not diving into pain. This should be an enjoyable experience, so let the stimulus be something that you can enjoy. And we'll take one more breath. Let go of that breath, and we'll move into some right toe extension. So the toes should be pretty flush on the floor, or you can actually use a corner for this. We're going to demonstrate the floor, just lifting the heel off the ground so the toes get into an extension stretch. And take some time to feel out how deep of a stretch is needed for those toes today. And when you've got that stretch in position, focus back on your breathing, staying nice and calm and relaxed. Using your breath to calm that target tissue. Take one more breath here. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active. And let's go ahead, starting with a nice easy force. Acting to flex those toes to resist the stretch, slowly ramping up that tension. Let's finish with big tension here. So really squeezing, 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Flexing through the other side of those toes. Like you're trying to pull yourself deeper into that stretch. Slowly ramping up tension. Let's go with big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Let's let go of that breath. Fall nice and passive. And fall back into whatever stretch feels right for today. Center yourself back on your breathing. In whatever pace of breath allows you to find calm through that target area. Let's take one more breath here. Take your time sighing out that breath, and we'll move into a cobra stretch. So if you start flat on your belly, just gently prop your torso up. You can come up onto the elbows in a Sphinx version, if you've got the mobility for it, up onto your palms. And if going with a narrow grip is a little too intense, you start to get discomfort in that low back, widen out those palms. Finding a position that feels right. As we work our way through, the body adapts. When things are feeling good, we can work our way progressively into a deeper stretch as we go. We want to get there by relaxing, not by force. And in a few seconds here, we'll gently activate by squeezing that trunk through the anterior side. And let's go ahead. Imagine crunching your ribs down to resist the stretch. Activating through that core, slowly ramping up that tension. Let's finish up with some big tension here. Really squeezing, 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Squeeze through that low back, that mid back, actively pulling the belly towards the floor. Slowly ramping up tension. Big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Get nice and passive through that trunk. Relaxing into that position. You may find you're a little deeper into the stretch. And again, if it's being stubborn today and we're not getting any gains, just be patient. Trust the process. We will get there. One more breath here. Let's slowly sigh out that breath. And we'll move into a cat camel. So from tabletop, just moving from globally flexing that entire spine into globally extending it. And we'll start this minute going nice and easy. Each rep, we'll try to progress and come a little deeper into that stretch in both directions. In every rep, imagine recruiting another segment and squeezing just a tiny bit harder. And just paying attention to how the body's responding. Forgetting pain, easing up on that tension. If it's feeling good, being a little more aggressive with that tension as we go. Just flexing all the way through those abs as we flex, and flexing all the way through that T-spine as we extend. Let's finish up these reps with some good force. Big breath out, relax. And we'll get into a left trap release. So we're going to focus on the upper traps today. And one of the best ways to do that is with a lacrosse ball against the post. Focusing on that top part of the trap, that big shrugging muscle. And take your time experimenting with the amount of pressure. The traps are a big muscle, and generally they can take a lot of tension. But just be conscious of how the body's responding as you apply that tension. The goal again is to get that trap to settle down. If we're going too tense with that pressure, so much that tissues are tensing up, just back off, experiment, and find that happy medium that allows that tissue to settle down. And every chance we get, circling back to your breathing, letting your breath calm that target tissue. We'll take one more breath here. Take your time sighing out that breath. And we'll shift to the opposite side. So working our way through that right trap. Again, we are targeting the upper trap. And finding a door frame or an upright and applying that cross ball in between and just wedging from the top is a pretty accessible strategy. You can also use the fingertips. Find whatever version works for you today. And then experimenting with the amount of pressure to get the stimulus we're looking for, which is pressure release and calming that tissue down. Because the traps are a stress muscle, they can be pretty stubborn. And taking some extra attention to calming that mind can help settle down those traps. So focusing on your breath, maintaining that pace of breath that helps your mind find calm. And let's take one more breath here. Take your time sighing out that breath. And we'll move into some neck circles. So this is the last exercise of the day. Start seated, pulling that chin into your chest, slowly moving that chin along your chest to your shoulder, and then moving that chin up to the sky, slowly moving across that extended position to the opposite shoulder, and then slowly dragging that chin back to neutral. And as we work our way through this, gently trying to find a little bit further range, just being aware of how that's feeling in the tissues. Find that right amount of force to help carve out new range without diving into pain. Let's give a bit of extra tension to finish up this last rep. And with that, we are done for the day. Thanks for joining us here today with 5 Pillar Mobility. Hope your body's feeling nice. Hope you enjoyed this session. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to us. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.